Hvitur, the first dragon to die. Before we start this video, please be aware that I am inexperienced with videos of this sort, and I am very inexperienced when it comes to editing. Mistakes are definite. Thank you. Everybody in the Wings of Fire fandom is familiar with the Dragonette prophecy. 5 eggs to be born on the brightest night, destined for greatness and to stop the war. However, not everyone seems to remember the dragon that was tasked with bringing the Skywing egg, the first Icewing ever shown in the series, and the first death ever seen in the series. Hvitur. Hvitur, or more properly pronounced as
Hvítur,
was an Icewing, a part of the Talons of Peace. He is an extremely unique dragon for a multitude of reasons. He was the first Icewing in the series to be named, the first death written in the series, and the only Icewing in the series to have their name be an Icelandic word. We'll touch more on this later. Hvitur is described to have moon-pale, cold silver scales, silver wings, blue eyes, and a long body. He's not described to be wearing any accessories or have any noticeable scars. Hvitur, from what we know, was a very dedicated and honest dragon, maybe even a bit naive to the world. He had full faith in the prophecy, and was very against the war and the idea of hurting others. Overall, he was a completely unique personality compared to Icewings we see later in the series. Most Icewings we meet in the series are rude, grumpy, and prickly. Hvitur, even when faced with his inevitable demise, held up to his values of peace. Hvitur was a Talons of Peace member who was assigned the job of breaking into the Skywing Palace to steal a Skywing egg. However, he was spotted by a guard and was trailed by dragons. Following behind him was Burn and 2 of her Sandwing soldiers. They attacked Hvitur and chained up his mouth so he couldn't speak or use his ice breath. At first, Burn discussed the possibility he was sent by her sister, Blaze, to steal a Skywing egg for nefarious reasons. However, she knew better, and was aware of Hvitur's affiliation with the Talons of Peace. Burn eventually unwrapped his chains so that he could speak. The first words Hvitur ever spoke were, "Haven't enough dragons died for your war? All of Pyria has suffered for the last 12 years. He argued with Burn for a while, before she threw the egg over a cliff. Hvitur broke free to leap after the egg. Burn caught him and tore his wing membranes up with her claws. Burn then killed Hvitur by piercing the back of his skull with her barbed tail, and then threw him over the cliff as well. His body and the shattered Skywing egg was eventually found by Webbs and Kestrel. While Kestrel suggested they just forget about the prophecy, Webbs wanted to try to get a Rainwing egg to fill the Skywing niche. Of course, this led to him retrieving the Rainwing egg. Scarlet hated the idea of a Rainwing in the prophecy before Glory even hatched. Talk about dedication. Outside of the prologue, Hvitur was never mentioned by name again. He was always referred to as the one that got the egg, or something similar. Not surprised by this, because Tui herself seems to never have cared for him in the first place. Hvitur is the only Icewing with an Icelandic word as a name. Hvitur means white in Icelandic. This is out of the ordinary when you compare his name to other dragons of his tribe. Typically, Icewings are named after Arctic terminology, animals, gemstones, or plants. Hvitur isn't a word for one of these, it simply has one meaning: white in Icelandic. Some people believe Fjord, an Icewing from the same book, has an Icelandic name. However, a quick Google search says it means long, deep, narrow body of water that reaches inland. It also is a Viking word that means where one fares/fair, but is more commonly known for the first meaning. Tui has stated that the reason she named him Hvitur was because she wanted to save names for future Icewings. This makes sense at first, But considering Fjord is in the same book and has an accurate name to his tribe, it kinda falls apart. Hvitur and Fjord served the same purpose: to do one thing and then to die. They have no expansion on their backstories, unlike other characters. Dune, also in the same book, died just a few chapters in, yet he got an expansion on his backstory in the form of a short story. Hvitur has never been a popular character in the fandom. In fact, I've personally learned that a lot of people in the fandom don't even remember his name. However, Hvitur got a recent spike in popularity due to a fan project named AnimatedWings. This fan project is aiming to recreate the books in chronological order. AnimatedWings is currently working on recreating the prologue. They have shared many incredible art pieces and concepts of Hvitur. This is the most art or spotlight Hvitur has ever gotten. I encourage everyone to check out AnimatedWings and support their project, especially since the official Wings of Fire show was canned. The link to their YouTube and Twitter will be in the description of this video. All art that I show in this segment belongs to their team. In the Talons of Peace Discord, I sent a message asking people about their opinions on Hvitur and what they had to say about him. Everyone here consented to being in the video, but I'm not going to share their Discord usernames, only their display names. User Angie Duck says, I feel like Hvitur was a selfless dragon. He literally tried to dive off a cliff to save the Skywing egg before he was killed by Burn. Speaking of Burn, the way he spoke to her about the prophecy makes me believe that he truly did care and want it to come true. User TreeSap says, I believe he had so much potential and I was deeply upset when he was gone. I think he was one of the only ones that would actually take good care of the Dragonets of Destiny. Maybe actually be a father to them if he lived. I pretty much agree with what other people had to say. Hvitur really does deserve some sort of expansion on his backstory, and it's quite unfortunate that a character that seemed so passionate about the prophecy died before it even began. However, at the same time, I understand why he died. Tui needed a dragon, a name, to go to the death of the Skywing egg. Her goal was for the prophecy to seem broken and incomplete before it had even started. In fact, Hvitur wasn't the only guardian of the Dragonets to die. Asha, a Mudwing, also died when trying to retrieve an egg, except she died after she got it. As for his Icelandic name, there are other dragons in the series that have really odd, out-of-canon names. Hvitur just happened to be the first example of it happening. For example, there are two other Icewings that have weird names. Alba, meaning white in Latin, and Changbai, being named after a real mountain that we have in our world. I shouldn't really have to get into why being named after a mountain that they don't have is extremely weird. Of course, fans can name their dragons, their OCs, whatever they want, but for the canon to have such an odd name, it really doesn't fit in. I personally headcanon that Icelandic is an ancient Icewing language, and occasionally Dragonets are named after words from that language. Well, that's basically all that I had to say. There's not too much on Hvitur, so there's not really much to be said about him. Let me know your thoughts on this video and if I should make more like this. Let me know what you think of Hvitur too. Do you think he deserves more, or no? Thank you for listening to me rant about a fictional dragon. See ya!